Part 65. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 641. Chapter 641, Adding Fuel to the Fire. Several directors were scolded so that they lowered their heads and did not dare to speak. Xia Linlang said weakly from the side, "It's my fault, my skills are not as good as others." Tan Ying rubbed his eyebrows in annoyance and softened his tone, "It's not your fault. If Xiaoling didn't have the dolphin sound today, then the two of them might still be able to fight, but what about now? In fact, the music industry is more cruel than anything else. Whoever has a talent that is superior to others will be superior. Xia Linlang's performance has been outstanding. This matter is really not her fault." Ha! Suddenly, a sneer was heard coming from the corner of the conference room. This laughter made many people's hearts skip a beat, and they subconsciously turned their heads to look. Sure enough, it was Wei Shaiyin. Ever since Xiaoling was forced to leave Tianyi, he and Tan Ying also fell out. Tan Ying now has a headache when she sees him. This Wei Ajiao is the one who really cannot be beaten or scolded. His family is as big as Tianyi, and he is a young master with a silver spoon in his mouth. Let alone a sneer, even if the entire Tianyi building is demolished, no one would dare to criticize him. Tan Ying endured it patiently and pretended not to hear. Unexpectedly, Wei Shaiyin sneered again, "Do you think that if Xiaoling doesn't have a dolphin voice, Linlang can surpass her with just a little effort? You're too naive to think so." Tan Ying didn't want to quarrel with him, but when she saw the dejected faces of Xia Linlang and a group of directors, she felt that it was necessary to boost morale at this time, so she said, "Yes, Ling is your treasure, but don't be too partial. She has left, you are an outsider, how can you turn your elbows outward? And, why can't Linlang compare to Ling? Ling just relies on her dolphin voice." Wei Shaiyin sneered disdainfully from her nose again. Tan Ying almost cursed when he left. This Wei Shaiyin is really getting more and more undisciplined. On the other hand, Xia Linlang was restless and whispered, "Let's discuss the next arrangements. They are here for a meeting today, not a quarrel. The most important thing is that Xia Linlang is just a singer with no power or background. Even if she becomes a little queen, she is not as tough as Xiaoling and dare not offend the company's senior management." Sandwiched between Tan Ying and Wei Shaiyin, it was really difficult for her to behave. During this period, Tan Ying was irritated by Wei Shaiyin's sarcasm. At this time, she finally caught someone who was also ridiculed by Wei Shaiyin. She quickly united the front. "Linlang, tell me, if Ling didn't dolphin sound, can you beat her?" Xia Linlang is in a dilemma. To be fair, she felt like she couldn't win. Yingling's singing is not just about showing off her skills, it contains rich and delicate emotions and layers, which few people in the world can handle well. To outsiders, they may just think Yingling's singing is pleasant, but for experts, they know how difficult it is. However, if she told the truth, it would be too disrespectful to General Manager Tan. With a moment of hesitation, Tan Ying already understood something from her face. His expression became even more ugly, and he secretly cursed Xia Linlang for being too weak. However, in order not to humiliate himself, he could only change the topic and discuss the next arrangements with a calm face. Under his control, Tianyi should publicize this incident and try to restore its image. However, before Xiaoling was crushed by her absolute strength, all efforts to recover were in vain. Instead of improving the public opinion situation, everyone was looking forward to Xiaoling's next performance. The venue was also set to be the same as Tianyi. This time, Tianyi originally planned to arrange the singers Lu Tao and Leng Hui, a hip-hop duo. Lu Tao found Xiaoling in private and almost cried, "Sister, goddess, aunt, for the sake of our friendship as classmates, please let me go. The popularity of my group is much weaker than yours. When the news media compares it, how miserable it will be." Xiaoling looked at him with a faint smile. "Oh, sister, goddess, aunt," Lu Tao begged. Xiaoling just looked at him and smiled, looking at this former classmate, and remembered the days she spent at Tianyi training camp a few years ago. At that time, she was immersed in the trauma of her previous life, but now that she thought about it, it was during that time that I met Li Lei. How wonderful it was. And Lu Tao is like a microcosm of the good old days. Still so clean and pure. Lu Tao was so confused by her laughter that he almost knelt down and begged her, "I will give you whatever you want, really. Sister Xiaoling, please just spare me this time." "Ah. It's not impossible," Xiaoling said slowly. Lu Tao's eyes shone. "You're not going to compete with us anymore." Dream Xiaoling's words were concise and to the point. Lu Tao is crying again. "But it's just what?" Lu Tao came to life, his eyes shining. Xiaoling took out 2 concert tickets from the exquisite small bag she carried with her and handed them to Lu Tao. "Come and support me when the time comes," she said. "Huh?" Lu Tao was stunned. She didn't explain anything, waved her hands and left. Lu Tao looked at her retreating back with a confused look on his face. What, he came here to beg for mercy, but he got 2 tickets for no reason. Doesn't this increase the popularity of his competitor? He was speechless and choked. The next day, Lu Tao came to Tianyi dance practice room. His assistant came up to him and asked, "Brother Tao, how are you doing?" "What?" Lu Tao said angrily, "I think this is a tough battle and we must redouble our efforts." "Didn't you say that you have a good relationship with Miss Ye? As long as we chat with her, she will not target our team." The assistant was particularly confused. "That's what I said." Lu Tao proudly twisted his neck. "How can you really do something like begging for mercy from the enemy? A man must face the difficulties and face them." The assistant had an adoring look on his face. Leng Hui, who was not far away, looked up at him expressionlessly. Lu Tao suddenly felt guilty. Well, he just failed in begging for mercy and had to bite the bullet and prepare for the concert. He moved his hands and feet and planned to conduct a high-intensity training. "You don't have to work so hard suddenly," Leng Hui said calmly. Lu Tao said, "Can we not fight hard? We can't lose too ugly." Their group is also one of the best in hip-hop, but it is still a long way from the level of a little diva like Ye Xingling. And in terms of strength, he was no match for her when they were still in the training camp. Now, after a few years, her singing has become more and more refined. If she really wants to fight, he will definitely lose. He just wants to be tortured not too badly. Don't you know? Ye Xingling said something. Leng Hui remained calm. What did she say? Lu Tao really didn't know. Leng Hui said, she made a bet and asked Tianyi if he dared to accept the challenge. What? Damn it, Lu Tao was so surprised that he cursed. This and yeah, it's okay to be unkind and unrestrained, but she actually added fuel to the fire to make a bet? He's going to cry again. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 642. Chapter 642, Kneel Down and Sing Conquest. Leng Hui took his time. The bet is very simple. Whoever loses will kneel down and sing Conquer. Lu Tao was drinking water. Hearing this, a mouthful of mineral water was sprayed all over his body. Ahem, what did you say? Cough, cough, cough. His whole body felt bad. Leng Hui looked at him like an idiot. Having long been accustomed to his partner's indifferent face, he managed to catch his breath and was still shocked. You mean, that stinky girl Ye Xingling wants us to kneel down and sing Conquest to her? Oh my god, this is what the hell. If that's really the case, it would be a big shame. Leng Hui, have you automatically assumed that you will lose? Lu Tao, Ahem. Leng Hui, I'm not talking about you. Do you think we have a chance of winning? That's Yasin Ling, the little queen of dolphin sound. She's famous for being a cult on stage. Can she win? Are you kidding me? Leng Hui said expressionlessly, I'll tell you good news. What other good news can there be? Lu Tao was very irritable and walked around the dance studio. Don't make any noise and let me think about how to die. Should I die horizontally or vertically? Although I was in the training camp at the time, it's not that I've never knelt down that stinky girl, but can it be the same? There are so many people this time. Lu Tao thought incessantly and turned around. Even the assistant on the side couldn't stand it and called him cautiously, Brother Tao. Stinky girl, you know people but don't know faces. Lu Tao was still thinking casually. Brother Tao. Should I kneel down with my left foot or my right foot and sing Conquer? Lu Tao thought deeply. Brother Tao. Stop making noise, Lu Tao said angrily. He was already so upset. Couldn't this little assistant be less worried? Ha ha, Leng Hui sneered, put on his thin windbreaker, and was about to leave the dance studio. Unlike Lu Tao, he has always been neat and tidy. When he is not dancing hip-hop, he adopts extremely refreshing minimalism. Hey, don't leave. Lu Tao looked up and found that his partner was leaving. Leng Hui paused slightly and raised his eyebrows imperceptibly. What? Lu Tao said, aren't you going to practice dancing? A disaster is coming. Even if you have to kneel down and sing Conquer, you have to choose a more beautiful posture. Ha ha, Leng Hui still sneered. Why are you laughing? Lu Tao was really anxious, so anxious that he was so anxious. Leng Hui then spoke slowly, actually, Xiao Meng wanted to tell you just now. Xiao Meng was the assistant's name. It's not our turn to sing this conquest. How could, wait. What do you mean it's not our turn to sing? Lu Tao suddenly came back to his senses. You don't have a fever, do you? Can we still beat Yasin Ling? We don't need to go on stage, Leng Hui said very calmly. If you don't have to go on stage, you won't lose, and if you don't lose, you won't have to sing Conquer. Lu Tao reacted for a few seconds before realizing what he meant. With a horrified look on his face, why don't we go on stage? The concert, cancelled. Wow. No way, the company is scared just because of that little girl Yasin Ling. Even the concert is cancelled. Leng Hui gave him a look that said, at least you're not too stupid. Lu Tao felt bad. What? Where is Tan Ying's backbone? If no one comes on stage, how many people will laugh at Tianyi? How can he bear this? This was obviously a battle with Yasin Ling. The book scares me. Leng Hui, who said no one came on stage? Lu Tao looked confused again. Leng Hui explained slowly, yesterday, Yasin Ling publicly made a challenge to the media and started a bet. The fans were all excited and clamored for Tianyi to join the challenge. So, Tan Ying replaced us with Bai Murong. Lu Tao then understood. Bai Murong is a famous star who has been famous for a long time. His singing skills are at the peak, and his popularity is half the sky. Looking at the entire Tianyi, he is the well-deserved number one. But, Lu Tao said, Bai Murong is the king of heaven. Wouldn't it be a bit fussy to use him to challenge Xiao Ling? After all, he and Xiao Ling were classmates. Once he stopped worrying about himself, he began to worry about Xiao Ling. Leng Hui still had that paralyzed face. Bai Murong, fighting Yasin Ling, are you making a fuss out of a molehill? Isn't it a big deal for a king to fight a female star who has only been famous for a short time? Leng Hui looked like an idiot again. Lu Tao always struggled with this partner and always felt that his IQ was being crushed. He just wanted to add a few words, but suddenly, he was so blessed that he understood the meaning of Leng Hui's eyes. Yes, except for the unequal title, how could Yasin Ling, that little girl, be worse than Bai Murong? Popularity. Although inferior, the difference is not big. Singing skills. Both are superb. Good looks. Although that girl Xiao Ling is just pretty in appearance, once she takes the stage, Her terrifying stage dominance and charm can make people ignore her appearance and only think of her stunning appearance. With this analysis, Lu Tao felt that she really had a slight chance of winning. He was shocked. If Bai Murong loses, it will be even more embarrassing than us. Why did he agree to hold the concert in our place? Do you know what number 1 is? Leng Hui said leisurely. What is no point 1? It is a flag, an eternal spirit that everyone looks up to. Everyone can retreat, but he cannot. This is no 1. Bai Murong is no different from number 1 among number 1. Feng Qianshang office building. Xiaoling was nestled in her office, her petite body sunk into the soft sofa bed, and she was eating smoothies with a look of enjoyment. From time to time, I would dig out a little bit from the crystal clear plate and feed it to the fur dumplings around me. Maduanzi meowed and rubbed against her very affectionately. Since Li Lei returned to China, Mao was also taken away. Xiaoling was worried that no one would take care of Mao Tuanzi, so she secretly found the security supervisor of the apartment building over there and took Mao Tuanzi back. It can be regarded as leaving some memories with Li Lei. Mao Tuanzi was originally a stray cat, and he was very happy-go-lucky. It didn't take long for him to become familiar with him in the company building. Xiaoling also has a companion. When I have nothing to do, I just sit in the chairman's office on the top floor with one person and one cat, in a daze. She had eaten a large bowl of strawberry smoothie and was licking the plate when Lin Yunan opened the door and walked in. Aha, it's quite leisurely. Lin Yunan always spoke with a hint of sarcasm. I'm bored, Xiaoling said without being polite. She hasn't made any big announcements recently, she's just waiting for the next concert to clean up Tianyi. She doesn't have to do anything except practice singing every day. Lin Yunan threw a newspaper to her. Your competitors are much more energetic than you. What is this? Xiaoling asked. See for yourself. Lin Yunan sat down on the sofa opposite her and crossed his legs. She opened it in confusion and saw that on the entertainment page, Bai Murong Junyi's charming face was printed on the entire page, and there was a headline in capital letters, Bai Murong challenges Ye Xingling. If you win, you will be crowned queen in one battle. If I lose, I will kneel down and sing conquer. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 643. Chapter 643. Leave it to God. Xiaoling looked at the newspaper and laughed out loud. I'm so confident. Lin Yunan still had a leisurely posture, but there was a sharp light in his eyes. Are you sure? When a man kneels down and sings conquer to a woman, it can become a good story. But what about women? If you kneel down and sing conquer to a man, it will be a good story. What kind of custom is it to conquer? Xiaoling raised her head proudly. How could I lose? No one will save you if you lose. Lin Yunan threw the newspaper aside. In fact, he had an emergency plan. Even if Xiaoling lost, he would have a way to deal with it and let her step down with dignity. But he didn't intend to tell her that to live in trouble and die in happiness, she must have a sense of crisis and be desperate. Xiaoling doesn't mind if anyone saves her. It's easy to win over Bai Murong. This battle has caused quite a stir. Not only fans of both sides, but also many passers-by have paid attention and are looking forward to watching this master showdown. The media also reported on it, conducted exclusive interviews with the two, followed their schedules, and tried to deduce clues about victory or defeat from their daily actions. What Bai Murong said before is right. If Xiaoling wins, she will be crowned queen in one battle. Because she is fighting against the popular king of heaven. If she is stronger, she can only be the queen of heaven. There were many comments praising Feng Qianshang's company for their good strategy, and how they easily dragged down Tian Wang, making him a stepping stone on her way to the top. Although, this stepping stone is not that easy to climb. Tan Ying was angry again. How can this Yexin Ling be so scheming? Actually, he didn't know that this time it wasn't her scheming at all. She had only deliberately provoked Lu Tao in response to Lu Tao's plea, thus stimulating Tianyi to find a stronger opponent. This way, Lu Tao doesn't have to kneel down and sing conquest to her. Unexpectedly, it happened unexpectedly and became a sensational incident. Tan Ying was very irritable. Qian Dingzuwen told Bai Murong that he must win and not embarrass Tianyi. Bai Murong responded easily, "Don't worry, I am the king of heaven, can I still lose?" I didn't take Tan Ying's anxiety very much. Tan Ying worked intensively to ensure that Bai Murong was flawless in all aspects. The venue lighting and sound equipment were all of the best, and the ticketing company and publicity center were also operating at full capacity. Bai Murong was given priority in everything. Long preparation period. The venue for this concert is the Starlight Hall in City J, which has always been a very popular place. Following the custom of the previous show, Xiaoling went to rent Bai Murong's venue for the same time period the next day, that is, Sunday night. But it couldn't be rented. It had already been rented to another violin audition event. Xiaoling was helpless and announced the news on the official website. Some people ridiculed her for shrinking from the battle, but most of them were understanding, as they all knew that prime locations were difficult to rent. Seeing that she was unable to rent a venue, fans came forward with suggestions. Many people directly called on Bai Murong to postpone the concert to accommodate Xiaoling's venue. Tan Ying sneered and ignored it. Murong's concert will be held as scheduled, he said. Why should they, such a big Tianyi, be led around by a little girl? Bai Murong crossed a pair of slender legs in the conference room, it didn't matter. However, within a few days, the public opinion turned towards Xiaoling, saying that Bai Murong was afraid of other girls and did not dare to compete, and used the venue as an excuse to avoid a short and close direct comparison. Tan Ying saw the comment and laughed angrily, "What nonsense." Bai Murong still crossed her slender legs and said gracefully, "Let's change the time." Tan Ying looked at him coldly. Bai Murong took his time, changed the time to suit Yexin Ling. Since we are competing, we must make it indisputable. Since we want to win, we must win completely and beautifully. Even though Tan Ying was extremely reluctant, as the rumors spread more and became more and more unfavorable to Tianyi, they had no choice but to change the concert time according to Bai Murong's wishes. Scheduled for a Saturday 2 months later. Xiaoling's concert will be held at the same time on Sunday. The public and the media were all happy and let Tianyi go. 2 months was enough time for both parties to prepare calmly. However, in fact, neither Xiaoling nor Bai Murong was properly prepared. The two of them were eating, drinking and having fun every day, but in short, they were not doing their jobs properly. Even the major media said that Bai Tianwang and Ye Xiaotian are planning to overwhelm each other with momentum before they start singing. It's just a challenge to a little girl. It doesn't require much preparation, Bai Murong said. King of Heaven, I am very confident that I can defeat him. What are you preparing for? Xiaoling said. The concert has not officially started yet, and smoke is already everywhere. In forums, blogs, and other gathering places for large fan groups, fans from both sides are also arguing with each other. 2 long months gave this incident ample opportunity to ferment and evolve into the most significant entertainment industry event of the year. Even many ordinary music fans and outsiders were alarmed and paid attention. In such a fanatical atmosphere, 2 concerts kicked off. The first one is Bai Murong's concert on Saturday. The smash hit Daytime King is like a prince. He is handsome, charming, and graceful. The venue was full. Scalper tickets were priced at 20,000 yuan apiece, but demand still exceeded supply. In an extremely warm atmosphere, Bai Murong's concert ended. Even the most professional music critics said that this concert was impeccable in terms of Bai Murong's box office appeal, venue control, singing skills, stage sound, lighting, organization and order, etc. Some media and critics have begun to worry about what Xiaoling will do in the second game. Xiaoling herself still didn't care much. Late on Saturday night, she even called Bai Murong to congratulate her, saying that his live singing had made a huge breakthrough and was completely different from his performance at the music festival more than half a year ago. Bai Murong tilted his head slightly, holding the phone on his shoulder, leaning against the wall and smiling. "Are you so calm? Are you really sure you can beat me?" Xiaoling also smiled. "Yes," she replied calmly. Bai Murong's breakthrough in singing is ultimately not due to her on-the-spot stimulation and guidance at the last music festival. She is half his master and coach. How can she be inferior to his apprentice? Bai Murong half joked, "Then I should think about what posture to use to sing conquer." "It's not too late to think about it now. Let's go back and ask the photographer to give you a few more beautiful close-ups." The two of them joked and joked for a while, and then ended the conversation. From the perspective of outsiders, they are fiercely competitive and life and death. However, as the saying goes, heroes cherish heroes. People who have reached such a high level in their singing career are not able to live in high places, and there are very few people with whom they can talk. On the contrary, it is easy for them to have good feelings for each other and become friends. It's not that Bai Murong doesn't mind whether he wins or loses. But since he has exerted his full strength, the rest is left to God's will. Next, let's look at her. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 644. Chapter 644 Lurking Among the Groupies. Sunday, Starlight Hall. At night, which is not considered a top time, there are still huge crowds of people near the venue. Fans with various support items in their hands, reporters with photography equipment, and people who don't know the truth, all gathered together. Xiaoling was sitting in a silver-white extended limousine car. There was an honor guard in front of her to clear the way, and an interview car was following behind to take pictures. There were cordons on both sides of the passage, with 3 steps, 1 post, 5 steps, and 1 sentry, which completely circled the entire venue. Most of the week. Looking down from the tall buildings not far away, it looks like a flowing ribbon of starlight. This appearance alone is enough to crush Bai Murong's appearance yesterday. Tisk, tisk, in the corner of the noisy crowd, in the shadow under a big tree, 3 low-key men stood together. One of them said to the other, "Bai Mu." Another man covered his mouth, preventing the word wrong from being uttered. "You're going to die." Bai Murong lowered his voice fiercely, his heart pounding, and he glanced furtively at the surrounding crowd several times. After making sure no one noticed them, they let go. Lu Tao patted his chest and apologized repeatedly, I was wrong tonight." They disguised themselves and mingled with the crowd to watch Xiaoling's concert, just in case the people around them discovered who they were. The consequences are disastrous. Beside the two of them, the third young man, Leng Hui, showed a disdainful look at his partner. This Lu Tao, his disguise skills have not improved since his debut. It often happens that he is recognized by fans when walking on the street. I hope Bai Murong will not be hindered this time. Speaking of which, Bai Murong was very brave to follow them into dangerous areas. I mean Lao Bai. Lu Tao changed his title casually and put a hand on Bai Murong's shoulder, still tooting, "Look at Xiaoling, just her appearance is so grand, and look at you yesterday. What? To be honest, did you offend Tan Ying for not leaving any funds for you?" Bai Murong. Over there, Xiaoling stepped out of the limousine with the help of the staff. Today, she still has outstanding temperament, with extremely natural makeup on her fair and jade-like face, long hair hanging down, and gleaming eyes. She is wearing a long dress with a hollow lace and tulle texture, which is beautiful and ethereal. Little fairy Lu Tao sighed and patted Bai Murong on the shoulder. Bai Murong silently took away his paw on her body. He also looked at Xiaoling, who was in the center of the crowd. The girl with an elegant smile was actually not the most beautiful in daily life. In the entertainment industry where there are so many beauties, she could only be regarded as a pretty passerby. However, every time I stand in front of the spotlight, everything is different. He didn't know where her aura came from. In short, as long as she stood among the crowd, on the stage, in front of the camera, or anywhere where people admired her, she could transform into the most shining light, gorgeous and calm. Well-mannered. Such a person cannot become a queen of heaven. Bai Murong was the first one not to believe it. She will be crowned queen, it is just a matter of time. So, will it be tonight? With her appearance, the fans cheered louder and louder. After a while, they chanted Xiaoling, I love you in rhythm. All kinds of support lights and fluorescent sticks were already waving before they even entered the venue. Many young men and women screamed at the top of their lungs. The sound was so powerful that it almost pierced their eardrums. Lu Tao couldn't bear it and picked his ears. It was so noisy. Bai Murong led them back further, to the edge of the crowd, away from the young star chasers who were carried away by passion. Hey, Lu Tao asked Bai Murong, are you confident? She can beat you just by appearing in the battle. Bai Murong said calmly, she is a woman and I am a man. A woman rides in a courtesy car with a clear path in front and behind her. That's called being dignified, but what about men? That's called hypocrisy. This time, it was Leng Hui who spoke, silly. What? Lu Tao didn't hear clearly. Leng Hui gave him a lazy and disdainful look, and explained in a cold voice, this formation may not be used to suppress Brother Bai, it should just be a side effect. Isn't it used to suppress Lao Bai? Lu Tao asked, what is it used for? At this time, Bai Murong came to his senses, Leng Hui is right. If Xiaoling can defeat me tonight, she will be crowned queen. How can she be so casual on the night of her title? Feng Qianshang Company, I will definitely give her a good show, whether it is a promotional release or a memoir, it will all be a gimmick. So Lu Tao also understood, the ambition is really big enough. Bai Murong's eyes followed the girl wearing a tulle haute couture dress, watching her figure surrounded by several bodyguards as she entered the Starlight Palace, her thoughts drifting away for a moment. Is it tonight? Will it be tonight? Will the legend of the sealing of the Queen after World War I come tonight? Let's go. Lu Tao shook the 3 tickets in his hand, interrupting his thinking. The 3 of them lowered the brim of their peaked caps and followed the crowd into the Starlight Hall. The indoor effect is completely different from the one at Bai Murong's concert last night. Like a deep dream in darkness, the light and shadow are blurred, and the light strips like water mist drag and sway, slowly sweeping through the crowd. The background music is very soft, a violin version of one of her classic pieces. The 3 of them arrived at the VIP box, sat down, closed the door, and took a breath. Taking off his peaked cap, scarf, and sunglasses, Lu Tao lay down on the sofa and said, oh my god, you're suffocating me. I don't understand Bai Murong. Leng Hui and I were invited by Xiaoling. There's nothing we can do about it? Please be patient. What are you doing here to suffer this? It's an artist's nightmare to disguise yourself among the groupies. Bai Murong calmly untied his scarf in circles without saying a word. Leng Hui looked him over and asked, does Yasin Ling know you're coming? Bai Murong smiled slightly, I asked for a ticket to your box, how could she not know about it? This box is occupied by the artists Lu Tao and Leng Hui. It is impossible to put ordinary fans in. As long as you take a ticket here, your identity will definitely be checked. As for a special person like Bai Murong, the staff will definitely report it to Xiaoling, and Xiaoling must know it well. Leng Hui was thoughtful, and after a while, he said, you two have such a good relationship. This statement is a bit abrupt and strange. Lu Tao on the side didn't pay much attention. He opened a can of beer and said, he and Xiaoling have been friends for such a long time. Can their relationship be bad? Bai Murong smiled slightly again. Leng Hui gave Lu Tao another look that looked like an idiot. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 645. Chapter 645 Strength and Surrender. On the stage, Xiaoling appeared. She changed her stage appearance and looked sparkling and beautiful. Her eyes were flowing and graceful. Wherever she looked, she would cause screams in every direction. She began to sing. It is a more beautiful and intoxicating melody than ever before. When she sounded the first note, Bai Murong sat up slightly and her expression became solemn. This girl, every time, when the world thinks her singing is perfect and has reached its limit, she can create miracles again. The attack just now was unusually touching. He had a premonition that tonight it will be her night. As expected, Xiaoling's performance was extremely outstanding, and the dolphin sound that was gradually restored in this life was becoming more and more freely used. It was integrated into her original singing system. It was not just the effect of 1 + 1 = 2, but a geometric explosion. Growth of. Everyone is crazy. Bai Murong became more and more frightened the more he listened. His expression gradually changed with the singing. Looking at the stage, who was as arrogant as a king and as gorgeous as a phoenix spreading its wings, his previous suspicions were confirmed again in his heart. A few months ago, at the Tianlai Music Festival qualifiers, when the two sang chess meets opponent, she did it on purpose. Deliberately stimulate his potential and let him break through the bottleneck. Bai Murong couldn't control the excitement in his heart, picked up the beer can and took a sip. Beside them, Lu Tao and Leng Hui were immersed in enjoying the music brought by Xiaoling. That girl seemed to have a magical power, and even people with different musical styles could not help but be involved in her emotions and fall in love with her. The whole audience was intoxicated. Bai Murong was the only one who was so awake that he was almost trembling. He suddenly discovered a very scary thing, which he had never realized before. In the original chess encounter, in addition to inspiring him when singing duet on the stage, later, when entering the studio for the official recording, she also suppressed herself. If she doesn't suppress herself, so, with her outstanding singing voice, she will definitely overshadow Bai Murong's limelight. In that case, the feeling of meeting an opponent cannot be recorded. Bai Murong took another sip of beer. It has been more than 10 years since his debut. He boasted that even if his singing voice did not reach the flawless standard, it was not too far away from it. He never thought that someone could suppress him during a duet in the same studio. Stop him, this is terrible. However, Xiaoling did it. Not only did he do it, he also did it all without any trace. When he was in the recording studio, he didn't feel the overwhelming pressure on her at all. The feeling of dominating everything. That is Phoenix. Just like a soaring phoenix, looking down at all living beings and overwhelming the world with its beauty. Bai Murong looked at the noble and proud the stage, and unknowingly tightened his grip on the can in his hand. All the beer spilled out, and he didn't feel anything. In front of her, all singers must bow their heads. Even the indifferent and penetrating person like Leng Hui and the unruly person like Lu Tao were mesmerized by her singing. Bai Murong has a very strong feeling that Xiaoling is like a phoenix, and they are 100 birds, and it is natural for 100 birds to pay homage to the phoenix. She deserves everyone to kneel down and sing the song of conquest. On the stage, Xiaoling's song came to an end and the curtain call came. The whole audience roared with cheers. Encore, encore. Xiaoling, encore. Rhythmic shouts resounded throughout the venue. Xiaoling, on the other hand, did not sing the encore as was the custom at the end of the concert. Instead, she stood in the center of the stage, raised her head and looked in one direction. The noise under the stage gradually became quiet, and many people followed her gaze and looked in that direction. The on-site director directed the lighting engineer to shine a beam of light over there, and saw that it was a mysterious VIP room. Xiaoling raised the hand holding the microphone and pointed directly at the private room. The action was frozen for several seconds. All the fans didn't know what she meant, until a man walked out of the private room. It turned out to be, Bai Murong. Murong Murong. Bai Murong. The scene suddenly boiled into excitement, and countless people cheered, deafeningly. Bai Murong was wearing a very ordinary white shirt, with the top two buttons unbuttoned, leaning lazily at the door of the private room, with a pair of watery peach blossom eyes that seemed to be smiling but not smiling, very charming. The two of them looked at each other across a large dark stage. The fans were even louder. They didn't expect that another protagonist of the biggest gamble of the year in the entertainment industry was also present. Bai Murong actually came to see Yezingling's concert. Now that the concert has come to an end, who wins and who loses? An alert staff member took the microphone and handed it to Bai Murong. Bai Murong did not reach out to pick it up, but gently pushed the staff aside and walked toward the stage step by step. His steps were slow, elegant, and calm, and with an indescribable piety, he walked through the cheers of fans and walked onto her stage like a pilgrim. Xiaoling has already put down the hand pointing at him. They stood face to face. He was obviously a head taller, so she had to raise her face to look into his eyes, but Bai Murong said, "You win." 3 words that are as light as a feather but as heavy as Mount Tai. The scene immediately exploded. Xiaoling's fans did not expect that things would be so easy. After all, a concert is not a competition, and the criteria for victory and defeat are difficult to explain clearly. No matter how good Xiaoling sings and how popular she is, as long as Bai Murong and his fans don't recognize her, this matter will only become a dead case. What is surprising is that Bai Murong actually admitted defeat on the spot. There is not even a little hesitation or buffer. He knelt down on one knee towards Xiaoling with a very pious expression. The entire venue was silent. Some were so surprised that they didn't know how to react, some were excitedly taking photos, and some were sending messages to friends to tell people who didn't come to the scene what happened here. The internet also exploded, mainly by Murong's fans, who could not accept this reality. Murong is so powerful, how could he lose? How could he kneel down to a female star like Yexingling who is not as good as him? Our Murong is the best, there is no way he will lose. Fake news must be fake news. Over there, Bai Murong was still kneeling on the stage, and another war broke out on the internet. Xiaoling lowered her head and looked at him and asked, "Sing conquer?" She was not surprised by such a result. In fact, when she learned that Bai Murong asked the staff to get the tickets and wanted to come to the scene, she vaguely understood in her heart, either he wouldn't kneel down, or he would kneel down on the spot. He came here specially to cheer her up, cooking the oil in a fierce fire and making it the icing on the cake. As long as she can show enough strength, she will be surrendered accordingly. A faint smile appeared on her jade-white face, saying, "End of this chapter." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 646. Chapter 646 The Benefits of Admitting Defeat. The stage lights gradually dimmed and darkness spread. Only a soft beam of light like moonlight remained, covering the two of them quietly. Bai Murong knelt straight and looked up at the girl who sang like a charm. Her long hair was braided into dreamy and beautiful locks like a goddess, and she wore a long dress with a large irregular fishtail hem. The tulle was decorated with sequins and trailed away. It was flawless and made people unable to take their eyes away. Tonight is her night. He started singing, melodious and passionate, I am conquered by you like this dash. Just the sound of it has already captivated all sentient beings. There are many singers who have covered Conquer, and there are many outstanding ones. However, none of them can match Baimurong's opening. He is the king of the singing world. His singing voice is so pure and breathtaking that the reverberations of his first line are still lingering around him, and his second line has already caught up. Cut off all escape routes. Behind the stage, the fans were silent. Baimurong, he was conquered by Xiaoling, why weren't they conquered by him? This is the true aura of the King of Heaven. Even if he loses, even if he kneels and sings, he will still captivate all living beings and move their hearts. The third sentence, the fourth sentence. He sang line after line. Xiaoling stood a step away from him and listened silently. Her expression was solemn and did not rise or fall at all with his singing. She was like a high-ranking queen accepting the worship of her courtiers. Everything was so natural and noble. Even if Baimurong's singing voice is breathtaking, even if he is the King of Heaven. But she, standing in front of him and receiving his kneeling, looked so harmonious. The director directed the camera to advance slowly, tracking the two people on the stage 360 degrees. He has directed live broadcasts for so many years and has rich experience. He should have taken it easy and leisurely. However, at this moment, he was excited and specifically told the lighting engineer, just use this light. No need to change it. Don't ever need to change it. A soft beam of moonlight struck the two of them. Standing and kneeling in perfect harmony, like an eternal picture. Minimalism means extreme beauty. Very few people can express this concept, but the two people in front of them, Baimurong, the King of Heaven, and Xiaoling, who is in the process of being crowned queen, can perfectly interpret it. Their posture and aura no longer need to be enhanced by extra lighting effects. A beam of white moonlight is enough. Offsite, on the internet. Baimurong's fans, who were noisy at first, also stopped and watched the live broadcast in silence. I have to say that even the most critical people have to admit that the scene is too beautiful. The half-kneeling Baimurong didn't have any trace of the decadence of a loser. Instead, he looked like an extremely devout believer, looking up to the goddess he had longed for, and singing like a sacrifice. Isn't it a sacrifice? Baimurong looked at her with pious eyes. He was really conquered by her, not just for show. Not only does her singing sound make people admire her, but her character also makes people admire her. When they were singing duet on the same stage, she calmly stimulated his potential and helped him break through the bottleneck, without taking credit or asking for anything in return. Now, it's time for him to take the initiative to repay her. Let's use this song Conquer. Baimurong sang this song so soul-stirringly that he played it to the best of his ability and gave Xiaoling enough face. The song ends, and the aftertaste lingers. There was silence under the stage for a long time before thunderous applause broke out. Xiaoling gently raised her hand and made a gesture of support. Baimurong stood up. There was a hint of approval and smile in her eyes. Baimurong's watery peach blossom eyes were also smiling. He bowed slightly and kissed her hand. "My queen," he asked elegantly and with a hint of depressed magnetism, "are you still satisfied?" "Perfect," she commented. Then he laughed again and kissed her hand again. The audience applauded again. Indeed, this is a perfect battle, from Baimurong's high-level concert last night, to Yezingling's overwhelming all living beings tonight, to Baimurong kneeling down and singing a pious conquer. Wave after wave of audio-visual feasts are overwhelming. Public opinion exploded, and people everywhere were talking about Baimurong's kneeling. This kneeling was tantamount to establishing Xiaoling's status as a queen, indicating that she had officially stepped from a first-line star to a superstar. Countless fans of Yexingling celebrated. There are also countless fans of Baimurong who feel sad. Many people stubbornly believe that their White King is so powerful, how could he lose to Yexingling? To release water, it must be to release water, really. Good men don't fight with women, some Bai Murong supporters commented on the internet. Murong must have deliberately given in to Yassin Ling because she was a woman. That's right, the people below all agreed. As a result, the fans on both sides started fighting again, and the war of words continued. Tan Ying was so angry that she scolded Bai Murong for being useless, and called him to the office to give him a scolding. You said you have a weak brain or something. How can you show off to Yassin Ling when you are so good? I'm really not as good at singing as others. Bai Murong was not afraid of Tan Ying at all. Tan Ying was angry. How many people can hear that your singing is not as good as others? At least as an insider, he can't tell which one is better between the two, let alone ordinary fans. If you insist on refusing to admit defeat, who can tell? Now, surrender. He simply suspected that Bai Murong was deliberately angry with him. Bai Murong narrowed his eyes slightly and said slowly, if you don't admit defeat, you will be degrading yourself. Tan Ying slapped the table. Fart. Bai Murong shrugged. What's your attitude? Tan Ying became even more angry. Bai Murong said, Mr. Tan, I think you are prejudiced against Xiao Ling, so that you are blinded by your prejudice. Can't you see it? Her posture is to Feng Xiang Jushan, surpass me, no, surpass everything. It's just a matter of time. When she leaves everyone behind, how ridiculous will it be for the media and the public to recall my refusal to admit defeat today? By then, my image will be complete. It's ruined. This is true. To say that his relationship with Xiao Ling is good, it is indeed good, but the relationship is not so good that Bai Murong is willing to lower his status and be stepped on by her. The main reason why he was willing to kneel down and sing about conquest was because he had seen through what he just said. If you don't admit defeat, not only will you be embarrassed after many years, but many people will say, why is Bai Murong so short-sighted, no musical taste at all? Yassin Ling sings better than him, can't he tell? And if he gives up, many years later, people will say, the king of the day is worthy of being the king of the day. When everyone thought that Yesingling's singing skills were not the best, he was the only one who was the first to recognize the pearl. In addition, there is another layer of benefits. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 647. Chapter 647, The Dog Was Abused. The war of words among fans continues. Bai Murong did not respond directly, but took Luoluo to ride a bicycle on the beach. A reporter took a photo of them. In the photo, Luoluo was sitting on the back seat of his bicycle, wearing a refreshing suspender skirt, with short hair flying in the wind. The two of them were smiling brightly and seemed to be a match. There has been vague speculation among fans that the two are dating. Now, it seems that more evidence has been found, and the pot exploded for a while. Many people changed the topic, from denouncing in what way is our Prince Murong inferior to Yassin Ling to is Prince Murong really dating Luoluo? Am I going to fall out of love? Oh no, 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 which triggered a new wave of discussion. Bai Murong logged into the official WeChat account unhurriedly. He posted a set of pictures of various desserts and delicacies. On vacation at the seaside, Luoluo made a lot of snacks for me to eat. She said that it doesn't matter whether I am a super popular king or penniless, as long as I am happy, that is enough. Fans were outraged again, and the comments below were filled with replies. Murong, are you really dating Luoluo? Prince Murong, my heart is so broken. Murong Zhang, what's so good about her? Etc., etc. In fact, fans of Bai Murong have never been very fond of Luoluo. They feel that she is not popular enough and her celebrity status is too small to be worthy of the super popular male idol Murong. Every time a reporter captures a photo of them together, many impulsive fans go to Luoluo's Weibo to curse. This time, many fans checked Luoluo's Weibo. Luoluo's Weibo has always been very life-oriented. She often posts information on how to organize and do housework. This time, she has posted a lot of pictures of herself learning to make snacks. Some of them have been cut, and some are for buying. A box of special matcha powder is sold to all major merchants, and little snacks are made from scratch. My snacks are only for the best people, she said. Singing doesn't mean everything. I like you, but I like everything about you, she added. Even if the whole world scolds you, I will always support you, she continued. Baimurong's fans suddenly couldn't stop scolding him. In the past, when Baimurong was at the height of his power, they felt that Luoluo was not worthy of him. However, now, when Baimurong was at a low point, Luoluo never left her. Since the battle between Baimurong and Yesinling, in addition to fans of both sides, there are also many passers-by who are watching the excitement and commenting, "The king of daytime is dead, the king of daytime is exhausted, Baimurong is so weak." Loyal fans were unhappy. They argued, they protested, they tried their best to speak for Baimurong. However, it was of no use. They are just ordinary people. Even if they make a sound, it seems weak. Now, there is a star who stands clearly on the united front with them. It is impossible to say that they don't feel warm in their hearts, and their rejection of Luoluo suddenly fades a lot. Luoluo is not bad. Gradually some people said in Baimurong's fan circle. Sharing will and woe is the real match. Some people began to agree with her. How could Mr. Murong's taste in choosing girls be so bad, another fan said. Under the pressure of Yesinling, a powerful foreign enemy and overwhelming public opinion, fans unknowingly regarded Luoluo as one of their own and accepted her. Xiaoling also retweeted Luoluo's snack picture on Weibo and captioned it with 2 words, "Dog abuse." There is also a tearful expression. She is now a fully single dog, Lilei is not around, and she still appears in the international news from time to time, accompanying the pregnant Sutang when she goes shopping to show her affection. She finally forgot about her emotional pain and devoted herself to her career. She defeated Baimurong in a round, but she was tortured to pieces by Baimurong's rumored girlfriend Luoluo. "I was so crying that I fainted in the toilet." Luoluo replied with a laughing expression. Fans of Baimurong love Luoluo even more. It would be such a relief to be able to torture Yesinling. Baimurong is also very happy. For him, it doesn't matter whether he is scolded or not. What matters is that the girl he likes can be accepted by fans. If losing to Xiaoling can make fans love Luoluo more, he is willing to lose to Xiaoling every day. Now, his relationship with Luoluo is finally semi-public, which is a good thing. He was in a good mood and said to Xiaoling in a grand manner, touching his head. Xiaoling was tortured to the point of crying again. Weibo suddenly became lively, and the originally tense atmosphere between the fans of both sides was relieved a lot because of Luoluo's adjustment. Fans of Baimurong think, well, our male idol Murong is still a winner in life. Look at Yesinling, a woman who is too cruel deserves to be single, tisk tisk. They are psychologically balanced. Xiaoling's fans left numerous messages on Weibo to comfort their goddess. Many people saw that her personal relationship with Baimurong and Luoluo was actually good, so, considering their idols, they did not pursue Baimurong's fans. The whole world is in harmony. However, this harmony did not last long. Xiaoling's tearful Weibo post accusing them of dog abuse was forwarded by Pei Xian. As the chairman of the emperor, Pei Xian likes to do everything by himself. He usually takes care of everything on a daily basis and his official account is almost never updated. This time, it was updated for the first time, without writing a single word. Instead, it was forwarded to Xiaoling's Weibo and included an emoticon of a rose. Just a rose. The entire entertainment industry is in a state of excitement. Onlookers are speculating that Boss Pei really has not given up on Yesinling, his ex-wife. Is this a new pursuit? Are you going to get back together? Big news, this is definitely big news, 100 times more sensational than the gossip about Baimurong and Lugo Lugo. Come on, Mr. Pei. Xiaoling, do you want to think about it again? Xiaoling, you can also show your affection. Fans are encouraging. Xiaoling burst into tears for the nth time. She called Pei Ziyan and complained, can't you just stop? It's fun to spread scandals. Yeah, Pei Ziyan said. Um. Xiaoling went crazy and wanted to kill him, it's not interesting at all. Pei Ziyan whispered warmly, Xiaoling, I have always loved you and am waiting for you to come home. It's impossible for us, she said. Why? Pei Ziyan asked, Li Lei is no longer here. You can't live your whole life alone. That's my business, yes, Li Lei is no longer here. She raised her head and looked at the hook-like crescent moon outside the floor-to-ceiling window, sadness overflowing in her heart. The most tragic thing in the world is that one person changes his mind and the other person is still waiting. Hundreds of revolutions, thousands of times. I will wait forever. You are the only mistress of my family, Pei Ziyan's voice echoed in her ears through the phone. She suddenly felt a sense of sympathy. Aren't they all waiting for someone who couldn't wait no matter what? End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 648. Chapter 648, Revisiting Shai. Pei Ziyan's elegant and magnetic voice came, are you free tomorrow night? Xiaoling didn't know what he wanted to do, but she didn't want to get involved with him anymore, so she just said, I don't have time. Have you made an appointment? An appointment has been announced. You're so dedicated, will you make an appointment for Chinese Valentine's Day? On the other end of the phone, he chuckled, exposing her lies. Huh, Xiaoling was startled, and then she remembered that tomorrow night is Chinese Valentine's Day, an annual day. Now she was alone, and she couldn't even remember such a day. I wonder what Li Lei is doing at this time. Will you spend time with Sutang tomorrow? She felt sour and uncomfortable in her heart, and she no longer had the energy to deal with Pei Ziyan, so she just said, anyway, I'm not free tomorrow night. She hung up the phone gently. The next day was indeed the Chinese Valentine's Day, and there were all kinds of celebrations in the streets and alleys. There were discounts in the shopping malls, and there were people selling roses and balloons on the road. Couples were holding hands and walking on the road. On Weibo, Baimurong and Lugo Lugo the dog abuse mode was turned on again, but this time I wisely did not at her. Xiaoling stayed in the company during the day, trying out a new song for a while, but couldn't concentrate, so she simply stopped singing and stared at the international news on the internet for a long time. A reporter published an article saying that he saw the second young master of the Li family shopping with a beautiful Oriental woman. Xiaoling closed the news page, feeling a dull pain in her heart. Perhaps, a woman who is infertile is not qualified to keep her beloved man. She recalled that when the two were together, Li Lei repeatedly told her not to give up and to go to several hospitals for treatment. Later, he also said that she could adopt a child. She understood that he liked children very much. Perhaps it was precisely because of this that when he found out that Sutang was pregnant, he was able to abandon her without hesitation. She felt even more uncomfortable, thinking about her child who died unexpectedly just after his 100th birthday. If Xiao Hui was still alive, he would be called Mom and Dad by now, right? It would be great if he was still alive. Suddenly, she missed him terribly. Call the assistant, Wei, help me arrange a car to go to Kanki Yuan Cemetery in City Y. Soon, the car was arranged. She took 2 bodyguards and an assistant, and the group drove to City Y. Along the way, couples were loving each other, while she was on her way to visit the deceased alone. Arrived at the cemetery. Assistants and bodyguards were waiting outside while she went to see Xiao Hui. I haven't visited the grave for a long time, but Xiao Hui's grave is still very tidy, with towering green pines and cypresses, and a large bouquet of freshly blooming white daisies placed in front of the small tombstone. The director of the cemetery accompanied her personally. According to Mr. Pei's instructions, there are dedicated personnel to take care of the place and deliver flowers and sacrifices every day. Monsieur, don't worry, the young master has not suffered any injustice here. Xiaoling nodded. If the director of the cemetery hadn't told her, she would have almost forgotten that Xiao Hui was nominally Pei Xian's son. She thanked the director of the cemetery and said, "I want to be alone with Xiao Hui for a while." The director of the cemetery left wisely. The surroundings became quiet, and she slowly knelt down next to the tombstone, stroking the cold tombstone little by little. The hard and cold touch spread into the bottom of her heart. She stroked the tombstone for a long time, and tears fell little by little. "Xiaowai," she called with a sobbing voice, "your father doesn't want us anymore. These days, the mask of strength when facing the world has been broken, revealing the weakness buried deep in my heart. Only here, facing a grave of the deceased, could she shed tears unbridled and say something from her heart. She couldn't keep in touch with her brother often, and Lilei was gone. The only place in the world where she could cry was this small grave. It was so sad. She buried her head deeply and burst into tears. Nearby, behind an old pine tree, a man stood silently. There was a long and deep scar on his originally handsome face, which was not healed yet and looked hideous and scary. His physical condition didn't seem to be very good. He was holding onto the trunk of the pine tree with one hand, half leaning on it with some effort. He stared at the sad Xiaoling. Just now, when she looked sad, he subconsciously took a step forward, wanting to go to her side to comfort her. However, after hearing her words, "Your father doesn't want us anymore," he originally took a step forward. The steps were retracted abruptly. On the small tombstone, the three words "Pei Xiaowai" are so dazzling. His Xiaoling is thinking about the child's father. That father's surname is Pei. Lilei suddenly felt that he was ridiculous. He had deliberately planned to escape from his family, traveled across mountains and rivers, and ignored all the pain to find the woman he loved. He specifically chose the day of Chinese Valentine's Day to surprise her. But what about her? She faced a grave, a dead child, and cried heartbroken for another man. Grandpa said that Xiaoling has changed her mind. He originally refused to believe it, but the current situation made him unable to believe it. It turns out that it is different whether she has a child or not. Even if it is just a dead child, the man named Pei Xian will always be the father of her child. Xiaoling can no longer have children, and Pei Xian will always be the father of her only son. Although, that child has been dead for a long time. Looking at Xiaoling's shaky figure crying, Lilei suddenly felt a huge sadness. Not far away, another man came slowly. It was Pei Xian, wearing a solemn black suit, who came to her. He seemed to have accidentally glanced at the pine tree where Lilei was hiding, and Lilei quickly hid deeper without being discovered. Pei Xian turned around as if nothing had happened. Actually, Pei Xian knew better than anyone else that Lilei was hiding behind that tree. As early as 2 days ago, he received news from Mr. Li that the unfilial grandson had run away to the country to find Ye Xingling again. He told Pei Xian to keep an eye on her and not let them resurface. Of course Pei Xian will be optimistic about her. He and Lilei are love rivals. As the saying goes, the person who knows you best is your enemy. He could more or less figure out Lilei's thoughts, and he had already guessed that Lilei planned to surprise Xiaoling on the occasion of Chinese Valentine's Day. But how could it be possible with Pei Xian here? Pei Xian asked Xiaoling last night, intending to give her a romantic date, but Xiaoling refused. It doesn't matter, he sent someone to track her journey and found that she came to the cemetery. This was just right, and perhaps more lethal than a date, because the child she went to visit had a surname of Pei. Pei Xian calmly asked someone to reveal the news to Li Lei, and sure enough, Li Lei followed him. Pei Xian also came. He just wanted to show off his affection in front of Li Lei and make the man give up completely. He took off his coat, his tall figure bent down, and put it on Xiaoling's shoulders. Xiaoling felt her body warm, and she looked up in a daze. With her eyes blurred by tears, she saw Pei Xian's handsome face. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 649. Chapter 649. Time flies by. The pines and cypresses are green and the tombs are deep. The evening breeze blew their clothes. Pei Xian was the first to speak and said to her, "Be careful of catching a cold." Xiaoling raised her hand and wiped away her tears randomly. "Why are you here?" She didn't want him to see her fragile and embarrassed look, because he was no longer someone she could rely on. Pei Xian knelt down beside her and looked at Xiao Hui's grave. His voice was low and sad. "Do you remember? We agreed many years ago that we would spend Chinese Valentine's Day together every year. This year, I thought we could not. You spent time together, just think of coming over to accompany Xiaowei." His voice slowly faded into the sunset. She felt a dull pain in her heart. She remembered that the two of them had a good relationship many years ago. She smiled and hooked up with him, agreeing to spend every anniversary together every year. In the blink of an eye, the world has changed. There is no going back. She stood up, the clothes on her shoulders sliding down. Pei Xian picked up the coat that was still warm from the ground and carefully put it on her shoulders again. "Take care of yourself," he said. "Xiaowei will be so uncomfortable if he sees you catching a cold." She lowered her head slightly and folded her coat silently. Pei Xian then smiled, protected her, and left the small tombstone. The two of them gradually moved away. Li Lei turned out from behind the pine tree and looked at their backs. The sun was setting little by little, and the stars and the moon were rising. She and the man were walking side by side on the deep and winding cemetery path. She was wearing the man's coat, and her petite figure was very close to him. It looks like an intimate couple. Li Lei suddenly felt that he was so redundant. He lowered his head and looked at the child's small grave. In front of the tombstone, bouquets of flowers and fruits exuded a sweet aroma, and there was a small card. It was not clear whether Pei Xian or Xiaoling had put it down. Somehow, Li Lei picked up the small card and opened it. I saw a line of small words written on it. "We will always be a complete family of three and will never be separated." Li Lei was silent and put the small card back. He raised his head and looked at the clear and cold crescent moon in the night sky. "Yes, a family of three. There is a blood relationship between them. Even if they quarrel, Xiaoling will go to the child's grave and cry that her father doesn't care about them. Pei Xian will find her here as soon as possible, coax her, reconcile with her, and take her home. Cut the endless bonds." Where is his bond? Li Lei felt empty in his heart, with waves of dull pain. For a long time, he walked out of the cemetery alone step by step. Xiaoling was driven home by Pei Xian and rested for a few days to regain her energy. Frustrated in love, she devoted herself to work. Nowadays, many people admit that she is a diva, but many people do not. After all, she has not won the Best Female Singer award at an authoritative music festival. No matter how popular she is and how superb her singing skills are, she is still a diva. This statement also lacks some gold content. She started to prepare a new song to prepare for the award at the end of the year. She travels around the world to collect music, find creative inspiration, and record a variety of excellent works. Her popularity is growing day by day, and her reputation is getting better and better day by day. Even before the award time of the music festival, countless people have already said that this year's Best Female Singer award must be hers. In today's Chinese music scene, no female singer can keep pace with her. She is the well-deserved #1 singer. Xiaoling took these kind words indifferently. Divas. She was already won many years ago, but now she is just regaining the crown and taking back what should have been hers. There is nothing to be excited about. Not only was she not excited, but she was also in a bad mood. Every time she went abroad for filming, she deliberately avoided the Li family's sphere of influence, not wanting to meet that man. However, I always pay attention to the news about that man unconsciously. I heard that Sutang gave birth to a son named Li Rui. He was a very smart and healthy baby. Xiaoling's heart ached like a knife, so she rested for a long time. During this period, Pei Xian stayed with her and took care of her in every possible way, making this long and difficult time seem less difficult. At the end of the year, she dragged her thin body to receive the Best Female Singer award. On the award stage, she gave a speech and thanked Pei Xian, who had always cared about her. "Thank you very much," she said, "lucky to have you." The live broadcast cameras switched to Pei Xian, who was sitting in the first row of the audience. An extremely stable man who has been in charge of the largest company in the entertainment industry for more than 20 years, there was a trace of elegant smile in his eyes. This moment was frozen and magnified by the camera lens and became a classic. The next day, the media reported overwhelmingly, speculating whether her long love affair with Pei Xian, who had been on and off for many years, would turn around again. Li Lei from abroad also saw this report. He threw all the newspapers into the trash can. The luxurious room had a view of the sea. He looked at the endless waves and thought to himself, could he live his life like this? Will his and her lives never intersect again? Sutang walked into the room holding the child. She glanced at the newspaper on the ground, her eyes with exquisite eye makeup flashed with secret joy, and said to Li Lei slowly and softly, "The old man said that he is preparing a 100-day banquet for Xiao Rui, let's come together, write an invitation." Li Lei said, "Just take care of these things." Sutang lowered his head slightly and bit his lip. It had always been like this. Li Lei could not be said to be bad to their mother and son, nor was he good to them, but he was just fulfilling his responsibility. "I know," Sutang said softly, "it was me and this child who dragged you down, making it impossible for you to be with Miss Yet." Stop talking about it. When this topic was brought up, Li Lei felt very upset. "It's my fault. I said I would go back to China to explain to her, but I missed the appointment. She must be very disappointed to be with Pei Xian. Miss Yet, don't believe you too much. Why can't I wait for you a few more days?" Sutang's voice was very soft. "It's my fault," Li Lei still said in a low voice. Where he couldn't see it, a trace of cruelty flashed in Sutang's eyes. It had reached this point, but the young master still defended that bitch. He actually took all the responsibility for their breakup on himself. That woman is a disaster. Must find a way to make the young master completely dislike her. Otherwise, what should she, Sutang, do? Things in South Africa, speed up the progress. As he was deep in thought, he heard Li Lei order, "I will take over all Li Feng's main bases. It would be better if I let Grandpa decide on the heir as soon as possible." The one who broke up with Xiaoling ultimately, the cause was because his grandfather lied to him about something happening to the Li family's overseas territory. If he had stronger control over the headquarters, he would be able to see through these scams. He will become a real grandson. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 650. Chapter 650. This is Li Rui. Time flies by quickly. Unknowingly, it has been 4 years since Li Lei left the country. Sometimes Xiaoling wonders, could the encounter with that man be a dream? When I woke up from the dream, everything was gone. She has gotten used to the days when he is not around. She wakes up in the morning and practices singing by herself. She eats the bread and milk prepared by the nanny in the quiet restaurant. Then she goes out to record songs, catch up on announcements, and goes home to sleep. Simple life, repeating the cycle. So much so that even the media, which had been looking forward to her reunion with Peizian, gave up tracking her private life. Her life with Peizian was too dull. Peizian would have meetings every day, and sometimes he would take his free time to visit her class and give her a ride, but there was no further development. They have been called the least romantic couple in history. Even the word couple must be put in quotation marks, because Xiaoling has stated on various occasions that she and Peizian are just ordinary friends. It's a pity that it's useless. In the entertainment industry, there are always truths and lies. Coupled with Peizian's secret and deliberate guidance, the relationship between the two is still arousing people's imagination. Xiaoling doesn't really mind the different opinions. Anyway, she was alone now and had no reason to clarify. Just like this, life went on in black and white. But, every year in late spring and early summer, she would come to S City Airport. The airport in S City is very beautiful. The runway is long and erected on the blue sea level. Every plane taking off and landing is as graceful as a long scenery. She always books a sea view room in a hotel near the airport and sits alone on the beach along the coast, listening to the gentle breeze and the waves lapping the shore, and looking at the endless stream of planes from a distance, lost in thought. 4 years ago, it was here that she waited patiently for Lilei for a week, but until now, he still had not appeared. Xiaoling didn't know why she was still waiting here. Perhaps it has become a habit, just like Wei Shaiyin disinfects her office 3 times every day. If she doesn't come here every year, she won't think about food or drink. She looked at the sky and thought quietly. Not far away, there were the sounds of children playing, and the vague voice of an adult saying slow down, slow down. Xiaoling didn't take it seriously. This was the hotel's own beach, and non-guests could not enter. However, this hotel was of extremely high quality and had a membership system. If you didn't have a net worth of hundreds of millions, you wouldn't be able to stay there. There will be no groupies here. So, Xiaoling was very relaxed and still looking at the distant sky in trance. Until a ball landed at her feet. A little boy ran over. He seemed to be only 3 or 4 years old. He had deep facial features and some mixed race features. His body was very clean, and his clothes were of good tailoring and quality. He should have come from a wealthy family. He looked at Xiaoling with a pair of bright and somewhat critical eyes, saying nothing or moving. Xiaoling has always liked children. When she saw the little boy, she said to him softly, "Your ball." Pointed to the ball at his feet. Before the little boy could speak, he saw a woman who looked like a nanny chasing after her. "Master son, please slow down and don't run around. What should I do if I get lost?" When he got closer, he saw Xiaoling and was slightly stunned. Why does this young and elegant girl look so familiar? Before the nanny could remember where she had seen him, she heard Xiaoling ask her, "How old is this child?" "He's so cute." Her voice was beautiful, like the sound of nature. As if being bewitched, the nanny said, "Thank you for the compliment," but she didn't answer her question. Nannies from wealthy families have received strict training, and information about the children of the owner will not be easily leaked to the outside world. After all, Xiaoling did not grow up in a wealthy family when she was a child. She was not exposed to some things and did not know the twists and turns involved. Seeing that the nanny had no intention of talking and the little boy was looking at her intently, he went to tease the child again. "Kid, what's your name?" "Master son, it's time for us to leave." "If we don't leave, your mother will be in a hurry," the nanny urged the child. The child ignored the nanny and pointed to the ball at Xiaoling's feet. "Bring it to me," he spoke in a very arrogant and domineering tone, and it sounded like he had been pampered since he was a child and was favored by all the stars. Xiaoling doesn't mind. She is always very tolerant towards children. She bent down and gently pushed the ball in front of him. Unexpectedly, the child said, "I asked you to bring it to me." After saying that, he kicked the ball towards Xiaoling, hitting her ankle. Immediately, there was a mark of mud on her exposed white ankle. Shainzi. Xiaoling frowned slightly. She didn't expect that when the child said give it to him, he must mean give it to him. There was no slight deviation, pushing with hands or kicking would not work. This child looks pampered, probably spoiled, too bossy, and not polite. However, she still has no intention of arguing with the child and does not have an attack. The nanny apologized to her again and again. "Miss, I'm so sorry, master's son has such a temper, please don't take it to heart. Is it hurt somewhere? You can leave me your contact information, and I will ask the housekeeper to send it to you later." Medical expenses. This apology is very skillful. It seems that this is not the first time he has dealt with such a situation. Xiaoling didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and shook her head. "No need." Just when he was about to get up and leave, the child ordered again, "Give me the ball." The nanny kept saying, "I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it." She walked to Xiaoling's feet, took the ball, and respectfully bent over and handed it to the child. The child pushed the ball away, and this time, it hit Xiaoling's leg bone hard. She hissed unexpectedly, lowered her head, and saw a large bruise on her leg. "This kid is so strong. I asked you to give me the ball." The child was very stubborn. Even if Xiaoling likes children, she is a little unhappy at this time. She frowned slightly, stood up, and planned to leave. On the side, the nanny persuaded the little boy earnestly, "Master's son, this lady is not a servant like us. You can't treat her like this. Let me pick up the ball for you." "What's wrong?" Suddenly, another female voice came from the side. Xiaoling's heart skipped a beat. She turned around and saw an elegant woman wearing a lavender embroidered dress walking towards her. She had light makeup and her long hair, which was carefully taken care of, fell down from her shoulders. She turned out to be Sutang. "Haven't seen you for a long time." Her heart was beating fast. Why is Sutang here? Has she returned to China? If she is here, does it mean Li Lei is back too? For a time, Xiaoling had so many complicated thoughts in her mind that she didn't know how to react. Sutang was stunned for a moment when he saw her. Then he lowered his head and said to the little boy, "Why are you running around? What should you do if you are bullied by bad people?" Her voice was cold, with a hint of sternness. Xiaoling felt even more uncomfortable. Who did she say was the bad guy? While she was thinking about it, Sutang had already raised her head and gave her an elegant smile. "Miss Ye, long time no see. By the way, I haven't introduced you yet, this is Li Rui, my and Li Lei's son." End of this chapter.